Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. So today we have a daily drill on data interpretation. Okay, so we are going to be looking at two sets as always, and that's basically what's going to happen today. All right, so I'll just check if my audio if I'm audible and my screen is visible, and then we can get going once I get a go ahead. Right, so let's see. So I'll just log in from my account so that I can see the questions and everything. Yes, I think I'm audible and I can see myself. So that's good, right? All right. Okay. So before we start, there is one thing. So I had promised all of you that there will be a surprise today. I hope all of you have seen the video that we floated today in the morning on the channel. So that was basically about the session that we are going to do on Sunday, right? So Sunday we are planning to do a session on module. So when we were doing our algebra daily drill, a lot of people wanted some help in terms of modulus specifically and in terms of graphs. So what I will be doing is we'll be having a small workshop on the same. So I'll tell you all about drawing graphs. So how can you draw graphs and do equations, right? So I'll start with basic graphs, x and y graphs. That's what I'm going to do. Then I will talk about playing with those graphs. So if y equal to x plus 3, how will the graph move? If y equal to x minus 3, how will the graph move? Similarly, modular functions. If y equal to mod of x plus 1, mod of x plus 1, how will it differ and so on. So all those things we will cover, and gradually we will move towards, I'll want to end it with quadratic equations and polynomials. So those are the three things that I intend to do. So be make sure that you turn up for that session. That's going to happen on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. this Sunday, 7th of July. So that's basically when the session is going to happen, and I'm sure that you are going to derive a lot of benefit from it, especially those of you who are like extremely scared of graphs and modular functions in general, right? So let's try to see what happens on Sunday. All right, so today's session again is on data interpretation. We have a couple of sets. One set is manageable. It's a fairly straightforward set, but then again, at the actual test, if you looked at that particular set, there was, I wouldn't say ambiguity, but if you look at the options, everything was possible, right? So it depended on, it was completely dependent on how you interpreted that particular set. So if you interpreted that particular set in a certain manner, you would have got all the answers one after the other easily, and everything would have been right. But one mistake, if you would have done, then everything would have collapsed, and you might have got, instead of four correct, you might have got two correct, two wrong, right? So that was basically the thing. When I took it at the actual cat, I was expecting two correct, two wrong, because whenever it comes to these kind of questions which involve some uncertainty, I would not say the questions were wrong or something, but exam ke time pe, especially in this scenario jahan pe you had 8 sets to be solved in 60 minutes, you can't really get stuck on one set and keep on thinking about इसके आगे ये बराबर किया है कि नहीं, यहाँ तक कि सब steps फिर से एक बार check करके देख लेते हैं and so on, right? So that is something that was not something that I wanted to do during the test, and maybe because of that, I started thinking about a lot of things, and maybe I thought कि चलो two correct one, two correct two wrong हो जाएगा and so on. I think I eventually got two correct two wrong in this set, and that was a disaster honestly, because that was a very easy set. So एक वो set देखेंगे. The other set that we have is again a set which is more or less difficult. उसके अंदर भी दो क्वेश्चंस थे जो मैनेजेबल थे. दी फर्स्ट टू क्वेश्चंस वर मैनेजेबल. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट दी अकाला बकाला सेट, राइट? ABMN, मानूर एंड नानूर, मामूर एंड नानूर रादर, राइट? सो वो सेट की बात कर रहा हूं. तो दैट सेट वाज सीमिंगली डिफिकल्ट, क्योंकि बहुत सारा स्कैटर्ड डेटा दिया हुआ था. देयर वाज नो डेटा एज सच जो एक टेबल के फॉर्मेट में है या फिर एक ग्राफ के फॉर्मेट में है. इट वाज नॉट लाइक दैट. इट वाज अ प्रॉपर केसलेट. देयर वर अ लॉट ऑफ मूविंग पार्ट्स. इफ टू व्हीकल्स कम, देन 3 मिनट से बढ़ जाएगा. एक और व्हीकल आ गया तो 0.9 मिनट से बढ़ जाएगा एंड सो ऑन. एंड देन सडनली इन द लास्ट टू क्वेश्चंस MN वाला एक रूट भी बन जाता है, which should have been expected, but हाँ मतलब ऐसे कुछ हुआ था, राइट? सो दैट वाज अ डिफिकल्ट सेट. ऑनेस्टली इट इज अ डिफिकल्ट सेट टू एक्सप्लेन एज वेल. It's not really a very straightforward set to explain. It's a set that you are better off solving than teaching someone, right? First set I can at least teach. Second set I will try to teach you, but it's basically up to your faith कि मुझे समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, right? You can rewind the video maybe twice, thrice and try to see if you are able to get it. कहीं पे भी कुछ भी अगर mistake लग रहा है, कुछ you think that you are making a mistake somewhere or something is off, you just let me know. I'll try to explain it to you that bit as well, right? But it's very important that you should know the second set क्योंकि वैसे टाइप के सेट बहुत सारे आते हैं कैट के अंदर, which is called the critical path set. And the first set that we have is something that we call mathematical reasoning, meaning there is some amount of maths involved when you are solving that particular set. Okay. Ashish, before we start, can I prepare for DI from September for 30 days or should I start from now only? I would suggest you to start from now because September में जाके if you start feeling that something is off now, you will panic and the confidence that you will lose because of DI, it might spill over to your other sections as well. So I would rather get into September knowing that there are some things that I'm good at, some things that I'm not so good at. So best if you start right now. There is no harm, right? You can go a bit slow if you are very worried about it, but don't waste July and August. Do critical months से catch कर Don't waste those months. Not waste, but don't spend those months wondering कि DI में क्या होने वाला है. Because it might become slightly difficult for you to catch up. And I think I remember one of your questions on one of the videos regarding puzzles and everything. So at this point in time, if your DI is not that good, don't get into core puzzle solving, right? Try to solve basic puzzles, try to get into the habit of reaching one particular answer, and then also have a look at the sets that are there. That should help. Okay. So on that note, let's get going with the first set. So I'll do the same thing that I have been doing over the last few days. I will show you the set. I will show you the questions that are there, and maybe I'll give you 3-4 minutes to think about the set and the questions, and then you can solve them. What you can do is you can also solve along. You can pause the video. You can have a look at the set that is there, and then you can just play it live. And if there is a query, you can just put it in the chat box. I'll try to answer your queries. Okay. So this is the first slide of the first set. This is the first question. So बहुत ही basic information है. There are 10 cities and you have to figure out how many flights are required. First question के अंदर underlying principle है तो minimum number of direct flights कितने होने चाहिए. As simple as that. Then we are talking about 3 of the 10 cities are to be developed as hubs, and hub is a city which is connected to every other city. This is the second question. So have a look at it on your own as well. The third question is something like this. So now the cities are divided into groups G1, G2, G3, G4, and you have to find the minimum number of direct flights that satisfies the underlying principle of the airline. Again, the same concept, just that यहाँ पे 10 cities के जगह पे there are 4 groups that are present. And the last question again has the same information as the previous one, just that what will be the maximum reduction in the number of direct flights as compared to the situation before the operational difficulties arose. Okay, so some operational difficulty has arisen in this one. Shubham, wherever there are numbers, I classify them as DI. Wherever there are no numbers, they classify as logical reasoning. Although all logical reasoning is data interpretation and all data interpretation is logical reasoning, right? So everything is everything at once. So that's why I generally don't like classifying it that way. But matlab, we have been used to classifying it that way, right? So my personal classification is wherever there are numbers and some calculation involved, that is basically DI. And wherever there is some logic involved, arrangements and those kind of questions, then I will say that they will be classified as LR. So that is the convention that we will be following. But for all practical purposes, DI equals LR. Okay. So by the time you figure it out, so I'll try to start this by 8:14 or 8:15. Till that time, you can have a look at this particular set. You can go slightly back and forth and see what it looks like, and then we can start with it. 8:14, I think I'll positively start this set. Should I join a crash course or prepare on my own? I'm not sure if I'll be able to do DILR and quants on my own. So again, Nilesh, I'm sure this is a query of a lot of people. There should be some evidence, right? अगर मेरे पास evidence नहीं है, तो I can't answer your question. So you are your best judge in this context. So try to figure out by taking an old cat paper, right? एक पुराना कोई cat paper लेके देख लेना 2022 या 2021 का कोई भी cat एक attempt कर लेना and see where you are. If you are easily scoring in the 80th percentile or the 85th percentile, you are relatively well disciplined, then no need to go ahead and join an institute. You can continue with mocks and see how that goes. If let's say for example you are not scoring that 80th percentile, if you don't think you are very well, you are very disciplined, so to say, कि every day बैठ के मैं 8 to 10 ये काम करने वाला हूँ करके, अगर वो थोड़ा सा भी लग रहा है, then maybe it's better for you to join an institute, because it's not about the investment that you're going to do, it's about the result that you're going to get, right? In the grand scheme of things, whatever money you are going to spend on an institute is going to be inconsequential, if I have to put it very bluntly. So even if it means spending 20, 25, 30, 35K, whatever, in the grand scheme of things, it will be hopefully your 3 days, 4 days worth of salary. So उसके बदले में, if you are improving the chances of getting through, I think that's a good investment. ठीक है? So that is basically my take on that particular thing. But you should have evidence. I will not say go and join a class. I will not say don't join a class. I need more data to decide. That's it. All right. So one more minute you can take to solve this one, and then we can start solving this. So very interesting sets, honestly. When I saw this for the first time, I was slightly scared of both sets, but hopefully I'm able to convey what these sets mean and what it means to solve these sets. Okay, so it's very important. Yeah. So it's 8:14. We'll start with the first set. So those of you who are still fighting with the set, you can just pause the video, solve it, and then let me know in the chat box. So it's okay if I even I'm if on the other if I even if I'm on another question, it's fine. Just let me know in case there is something that you need help with, and you can just watch the video as well, and I am sure you will be able to get it. Okay, so let's start with this. Now, a new airlines company is planning to start operations in a country. Straightforward. The company has identified 10 different cities. So the cities हैं हमारे पास, which they plan to connect through the network to start with. The flight duration between any pair of cities will be less than 1 hour. Now, this is something that we call a red herring. ठीक है, रेड हेरिंग बेसिकली मींस उसका कुछ कॉन्सिक्वेंस नहीं है, बट वो एक ऐसे छोड़ दिया है उसको. ठीक है, विल बी लेस देन 1 hour. नाउ यू विल सी इन दिस सेट that timing has got nothing to do with this particular set. ठीक है, to start operations the company has to decide on a daily schedule. The underlying principle that they are working on is the following: any person staying in any of these 10 cities should be able to make a trip to any other city in the morning and should be able to return by the evening on the same day. तो यहाँ पे हम लोग अज्यूम कर रहे हैं that everything is in the same time zone. पीपल कैन ट्रैवल एनी टाइम इन द मॉर्निंग. ऐसा नहीं है कि 9 बजे के पहले ही निकलना है और शाम को 8 बजे के बाद ही पहुंचना है. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है, राइट? नो, नथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट हैज बीन मेंशन्ड. नथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट इज एक्सपेक्टेड. So we are not making those kind of assumptions. We are just saying that okay, someone should be able to board a flight in the morning, go to the destination of his or her choice, and same person or some other person should be able to board a flight in the evening from any of the cities and should be able to return to the destination of his or her choice in the evening, right? Same thing. So that is basically what we are trying to look at here. Now let's look at the questions. So we basically know that there are 10 cities. That's the only thing that we know. Now we have to figure out if the underlying principle is to be satisfied in such a way that the journey between any two cities can be undertaken using only direct flights. Okay, using only direct non-stop flights. Then what is the minimum number of direct flights that need to be scheduled? Now one mistake that I made during the test, and I don't know if some of you might have thought about it, is this: there is a very subtle difference between flights and planes. During the test, I started thinking about how many aeroplanes will be required. And then I got stuck in that bit जहाँ पे बोला था 1 hour के अंदर है. तो 1 hour के अंदर अगर है तो एक ही प्लेन जाके A से B चला जाता है. Let's say if one plane goes from A to B, the same plane comes back from B to A, and I got stuck in that thought process. And I started thinking about how many physical planes will be required. Whereas if you have ever taken a flight, you will know that a flight does not equal a physical aeroplane. A flight is just a code, right? A flight is just a code. So if someone tells you whatever AI 377, let's say for example, okay. So if someone tells you that there is a flight called AI 377, then you have to just say that okay, there is one flight, one plane that exists, जो AI 377 कहलाएगा. ठीक है. Yeah, just give me a second. I just search for something interesting. All right. There is a fun fact, by the way. I don't know if all of you have heard of this, but AIC 24WC, right? So that basically became the most tracked flight ever, it seems, in the history of Indian aviation. and that happened yesterday. So I just remembered it because I wrote this, but otherwise we'll stick to this. So AI 377 does not mean the plane, it just means the code. ठीक है? And again यही flight अगर वापस जाता है, so let's say this flight is from Bombay to Delhi, right? Mumbai to Delhi, let's say. तो फिर क्या होगा? ये फ्लाइट अगर है तो AI 377 will go from Bombay to Delhi and AI 378 will come back from Delhi to Mumbai. वो हो सकता है, right? So that is basically what we are looking at. We're not looking at planes, we are only looking at flights, which means we are looking at codes. तो उतना ही सोचना है और कुछ नहीं सोचना है. So now let's say for example there are these cities A, B, C, D, E and F, G, H, I, J. ठीक है, 10 cities हैं मेरे पास. Now we also know that every city should be connected to every other city, right? So if someone is residing at A, you have to have a flight from A to B to C to D to E and so on. So how many flights should be departing from A in the morning? There should be 9 different flights that should be departing from A in the morning because I need to have a direct flight, non-stop flight hona chahiye, right? So A flights are needed from A. Now let's say you are present in city B. You need to have the freedom to go to any of the remaining 9 cities in the morning. So you should have 9 flights that are starting from B as well. Similarly, you should have 9 flights that are starting from C as well. ऐसे करते 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 हर एक सिटी में you should have 9 flights in the morning that are departing from that city, right? So because there are 10 cities, 10 cities into 9 flights per city is 90 flights. This is in the morning. Okay? And similarly, you should also have 90 flights in the evening as well. Right? So you should have 90 flights in the morning, 90 flights in the evening. You should have a total of 180 flights to be able to service all the demands of all the passengers at all the airports. अब इसके अंदर you can't really complicate things and say that okay, what if one person arrives at the airport at 8 o'clock and one person arrives at 9 o'clock? Should there be two different flights? So we are not expected to get into utna micromanagement. We will say that A के अंदर we will have 9 flights. All of them let them depart at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's fine. If anybody wants to travel from A to any other city, they should be there at 8 o'clock. That's it. Now this is an assumption, but of course, minimum number of flights will mean that you have to impose some restrictions. And to minimum number of flights, यहाँ पे आ जाएंगे 180. ठीक है? I hope this first answer is clear. This was an absolutely easy question, unless you made this kind of a mistake and then you started thinking about same flight can go from A to B and then can come from B to A. तो 45 plane में भी काम चल जाएगा and शाम को 45 में काम चल जाएगा and there is this very nice option called 90 also. I think I had marked 90 in the test. So that was slightly stupid, but ठीक है, चलो. Right? So the answer here is 180. Shubham, is there scope of using PNC in this? Of course, there is scope of using PNC in this. I did not use it because I did not want to scare people away. Now 10C2, I need to connect two cities using one flight. 10C2 कितना होता है? 10 into 9 by 2, so 45. So I will have 45 different connections that are possible for each connection. Cities matlab I have combinations, right? So A and C is a combination. A and B is a combination. And they are not ordered. So I have 45 different combinations that are there. I need to have a two flight. I need to have a flow flight. So 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. So 45 into 4. You can also say that if we are looking at ordered pairs, the first city can be chosen in 9 ways. The second city can be chosen, the first city can be chosen in 10 ways. The second city can be chosen in 9 ways. So I will have 10 into 9, that is 90 flights in the morning, 90 in the evening. So it's exactly PNC, just that I have not used the formula. That is the only difference. All right. Okay. So let's move to the second question. Similar question. Now, suppose 3 of the 10 cities are to be developed as hubs. A hub is a city which is connected with every other city by direct flights, each way, both in the morning as well as in the evening. Right? So 3 cities को मैंने hub बना दिया. So let's say for example A, B, C become hubs. Fine. A, B, C become hubs here, and the other 7 cities are not hubs. So D, E, F, G, H, I, J. These 7 cities are not hubs. Now we are saying that a hub is a city which is connected with every other city, including the other 2 hubs as well, both in the morning as well as in the evening. The only direct flights which will be scheduled are originating and or terminating in one of the hubs. So D or E के बीच में there cannot be a flight because D is not a hub, E is not a hub. One of the either the destination or the departure wala part, that has to be a hub, right? So a flight can depart from A and can go to D, chalega, but a flight cannot depart from E and go to a J, वो नहीं चलेगा. J to A चलेगा, right? So that kind of a thing happens. Now, the minimum number of direct flights that need to be scheduled so that the underlying principle of the airline to serve all 10 cities is met without visiting more than one hub during the trip, right? Without visiting one hub का मतलब क्या हो गया? Now let's say someone wants to go from D to E. अभी मेरे को D to E अगर जाना है, there is no direct flight. How will I go from D to E? So I need to be able to go from D to E by visiting at most one hub, not more than one hub. So I'll have to go from D to A, let's say for example, and then I will have to go from A to E. So if I have a flight which is connecting A and D, it will serve two purposes. Let's say I'll be able to go from D to A to D, वो वाला flight तो मेरा manage हो ही जाएगा. And also if I want to go from A to E, I'll be able to catch that flight from E. Fine. So in this particular context, again, it becomes fairly straightforward. It's not a difficult question at all. If you look at this particular question that we have, so what we have to understand here is what happens in case of all of these hubs. Let's say, for example, so let's say I'm looking at this city A or hub A. अब hub A जो है ना वहां से how many flights should go? I will have flights going to B, I will have flights going to C and D, E, F, G, H, I, J. ये सारे flights जाएंगे यहाँ से. A will service all these other 9 cities. There should be flights going from A to B and also B to A to C and C to A to D and D to A and so on. So यहाँ पे 9 अगर मेरे पास cities है in total, I should have 9 into 2 flights that will either start from A or will arrive at A. Originate from A और terminate at. ठीक है? So A में से मेरे को 9 cities में जाना है और 9 cities में मेरे को A में भी आना है. So all those things, both these things have to happen. That's why 9 into 2, that is 18 flights morning में लगेगी. Evening will be the duplication of this. So 18 flights will have to either originate from A or terminate at. Now let's look at B. अब B और A वाला तो यहाँ पे हमने ऑलरेडी कॉम्बिनेशन बना लिया है, right? So from B, what all cities need to be serviced? If someone is sitting at B and wants to go to C, तो वो क्या करेगा? From B to C directly you can have a flight C, then D, E, F, G, H, I and J. ठीक है? So these flights you will need. Now again, the direct flights that will be scheduled are originating and or terminating in one of the hubs करके बोला हुआ है. Minimum number of direct flights that need to be scheduled, right? So that those things we need to do in this case. So B to C भी जाना चाहिए. Now you might ask this question that B to C अगर जाना है तो मेरे को B to A जाके मैं A to C क्यों नहीं जा सकता same flight use करके, right? So think about it. If I want to go from B to C, will I go from B to A and A to C, or I'll go directly from B to C? And if I do that, then what is basically the issue? Right? So यहाँ पे the point is a hub is a city which is connected to every other city करके बोला हुआ है by direct flights. So B to C has to be a direct flight. So we cannot say that if someone has to go from B to C, उसको B to A जाके then A to C भी जा सकता है वो. It's not a mandatory criterion. Mandatory criterion क्या है कि every hub has to be connected to every other city. That is the mandatory criterion. ठीक है? So यहाँ पे B से लेके you will have C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. All the cities will need to be connected, and you will basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into 2. That is 16 flights. 16 flights that will either originate from B or terminate at B. Similarly, C or B already connected hai. C and A are already connected. So from C we will have flights that will go from D, E, F, G, H, I, J. So either they will go to D, E, F, G, H, I, J, or they will come back from D, E, F, G, H, I, J. ठीक है? So 7 into, तो कितने हो गए total? You will have 18 which will either originate or terminate at A, plus 16 for B and 14 for C. So you will have 16 3s are 48. This is for the morning. So evening वाले भी पकड़ लेंगे, again 48. You will have a total of 96 flights. So option C, that is 96, should be the answer to this one. Alright, I hope these two are clear. Straightforward questions are very straightforward for this one. The only place where I got confused was the flights and planes wala part, which was slightly stupid, but ठीक है, whatever. Exam time में से हो जाता है. Alright. Let's look at the next question. Now, 10 cities are divided into 4 distinct groups: G1, G2, G3, G4. Now, G1 has 3 cities, G2 has 3 cities, G3 has 2 cities, and G4 has 2 cities. G1 consists of cities A, B, and C. ठीक है? And direct flights are allowed between these 2 cities satisfying one of the following. बाकी कहीं पे direct flights है ही नहीं. Both cities are in G1. So A will be joined to B, A will be joined to C, B will be joined to C using a direct flight, वो होगा. Between A and any city in G2, तो यहाँ पे 3 direct flights होंगे. B and any city in G3, so again two cities need to be connected to B and two cities that need to be connected to C. Now we have to figure out what is the minimum number of direct flights that satisfies the underlying principle of the airline. ठीक है? So again, straightforward question, not very difficult at all. Let's try to look at it. Now, if you are looking at only the first criterion, both cities are in G1. So I will need a flight that will go from A to B. I'll need a flight that will go from A to C. I'll need a flight that will go from B to C, and सबके return flights भी लगेंगे, right? So A to B will be one flight, B to A will be one flight, A to C will be one flight, C to A will be one flight, B to C and C to B. So यहाँ पे you will have 6 flights that are there. ये सिर्फ मैं morning की बात कर रहा हूँ, evening will be a bit later. Now A and G2 के बीच में A will be connected to 3 cities, so 3 flights going onward and 3 flights coming back, so you will have 6 flights again. B will be connected to 2, so 2 into 2, 4. 2 onward, 2 return. Similarly, 2 onward, 2 return is 4. You will have 6 plus 6, 12 plus 4, 16 plus 4, 20 in the morning and 20 more in the evening. So minimum number of flights will be 40. So fairly straightforward, again, manageable question. Right? So although you might have missed out on the first couple of questions, ये वाला question is completely different. So that was the beauty of the set as well. Even if you made a mistake in any of the previous questions, you could have covered it up in the subsequent questions. तो यहाँ पे आंसर will be 40. G1 के बीच में देखेंगे तो you will have 3 pairs that are there, which means 6 flights to and fro. And A and G2, 3 flights, 3 flights return. B and G3, 2 onward, 2 return. And C में 2 onward, 2 return. ठीक है? Now let's look at the last question of this set as well. Now again the context remains the same. G1 consists of cities A, B, C and ये सारी चीजें वैसे के वैसे ही होंगी. But operational difficulties at A. So let me do one thing. I'll just write it again. We have group 1, group 2, group 3 and group 4. I hope the question is visible. Let me just check it once. Yeah, it's visible. ठीक है. G1 में there are 3 cities A, B, C. G2 में there are 3 cities. G3 में 2 cities. G4 में 2 cities. ये दिया हुआ है. We know that both cities should be in G1, A and G2, B and G3, C and G4. ठीक है, ये सारे हमारे पास connections होने चाहिए. Operational difficulties at A. It was later decided that the only flights that would operate at A would be those to and from B. And G2 वाले cities will go to either G3 or G4. So maximum reduction in the number of flights कितने हो सकते हैं compared to the situation. ठीक है. So now we are saying that A के अंदर से जो flights होंगे ना वो सिर्फ B के पास जाएंगे या B से आए. So now A will have only 2 flights which will either be departing from A or will come to A. I'm again talking about morning. Evening will be the replication of whatever we do in the morning. ठीक है. So A के अंदर से there will be one flight that will go to B. So departure and one arrival at A, B to A वाला. तो ये A से connection होगा. B का if you look at it, now B to A we are already sorted. So from B we will have one flight going to C and we will have one flight coming back from C. So again we will have 2 flights that will go from B to C and C is already connected to B because of this. तो C का special case लेने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है. So according to this condition ये वाला part होगा 4. Now we are saying that cities in G2 will be assigned to either G3 or G4. Now अगर ये 3 cities go to G3 then all the load will come to B. And if these 3 cities go to G4, all the load will come to C. But it doesn't matter, na? Wherever these cities are, there has to be one flight which will go from either B to this city and back from this city to B, 2 flights basically, or C to this city, one flight, and from this city to C, another flight. So we can't really say that if we split it as 2-1, it will be better, or if we split it as 3-0, it will be better. ऐसा कुछ बोल नहीं सकते. So let's say for example, for all practical purposes, यहाँ पे 5 हो जाते हैं. So all the cities from G2 are moved to G3. Now what will happen? B will have to service these 5 cities. So ये वाला part तो is gone. Now B will have to service these 5 cities. So 5 onward, 5 return. So you will have 10 flights that will connect B to G3 वाले cities. C to G4, 2 onward, 2 return. Because C to जो भी अगर IJ है ये, तो C to I will be one flight and I to C will be another flight. C to J will be one flight, J to C will be another. So you are going to get 4 flights here. Right? So 4 plus 10 plus 4, you will have 18 flights in the morning and 18 flights in the evening. You will have a total of 36 flights. Question क्या पूछा गया है? What will be the maximum reduction in the number of direct flights? तो पहले कितने flights थे? 40. अभी कितने flights हैं? 36. What will be the reduction? 40 minus 36, that is 4. So the correct answer here will be 4. The reduction should be by 4 flights for this issue to be resolved. Fine? Make sense? I'll just show the second set for those the benefit of people who are going to attempt that. But in case there's any doubt in the first set, let me know. I'll stay on this set for another 3 minutes or so. So 8:35ish, we will start with the second set as well. But this is basically what the second set looks like. So Akala to Bakala, there are 4 cars. Mamur and Nanur are 2 uh, junctions that are available. I'll do one small thing. I'll hide a couple of slides so that you don't see them because those will be useful when we are solving the set. Okay. Now this is the first question. How many cars would be asked to take the route A and B? That is Akala, Nanur, Bakala route by the police department. If all the cars follow the police order, what is the difference in travel time between A and B and A and B? And now you have additional information for questions 3 and 4. A new one-way road is built from M to N, and now you have A, M, B, A, N, B, A, M, N, B, 3 possible routes that are there. And इसके अंदर how many cars would the police department order to take the AMNB route so that it is not possible for any car to reduce its travel time, right? So मतलब जो भी uh, the best optimization should have been done. And the last question, same logic that is there, just that minimum time to travel from A to B. That is the question. So to give you a spoiler, questions 3 and 4 are absolutely horrible. Yeah, to use a milder word, but they are like slightly difficult questions to manage. Okay, so it's okay if you solve only the first 2 questions and sit pretty. And if those questions right, okay, you should like really be happy with yourself. So that is basically the idea of this. If you are messing up the first 2 questions because the last 2 questions are difficult, then it's a problem. But otherwise, don't get into the specifics of it. Just try to see what it means to uh, travel from A to B. And generally, in case of DLR, the obvious answers will be the right answers. So if you think at some point in time, ऐसे सोचा मैंने मेरे को कुछ तो ब्रेन में आ गया कि instead of sending all cars from A to B via M, I would rather say send 2 cars via M and 2 cars via N. Mostly your answer is going to be right. Okay? So sometimes you have to take that, as I always say, leap of faith and say कि अच्छा ठीक है 2 ही आंसर्स हैं तो मतलब 2 ही चीजें हैं तो both of them should be the ones that as in the split should be in terms of 2. Okay. So I'll wait for 30 more seconds and then we will start with this set. 8:35 हो गया, but we'll wait till 8:36 चलो and then we'll start this. All right. And I hope the first set is managed by all of you. So that I hope everybody has understood well. क्योंकि first set समझ में नहीं आएगा तो it will be disastrous. The second set is the uh, trickier one. First set was manageable. All right. Let's look at this one. So it's a nice set, slightly tricky, tedious, but nice set. Now there are 4 cars that need to travel from Akala to Bakala, A to B. So thankfully, they have used better letters. Otherwise, it would have been very funny if you look at this particular thing. Now 2 routes are available from one via M and one via N. The roads from A to M and from N to B are both short and narrow. So A to M, N to B जो roads आते हैं वो सब short and narrow है, doesn't matter. In each case, 1 car. So A to M and N to B ये दो context में 1 car takes 6 minutes to cover the distance and each additional car increases the travel time per car by 3 minutes. So example भी दिया हुआ if only 2 cars drive from A to M, each car takes 9 minutes. So 1 car अगर होता तो 6 minutes में they would have reached. But because there are 2 cars, both of them will slow each other down and together they will take 9 minutes to reach from A to M. ठीक है. On the road from A to N, one car takes 20 minutes and each additional car increases the travel time per car by 1 minute. So अगर एक कार चलता तो 20 मिनट्स में कवर होता है डिस्टेंस, बट अगर दो कार्स है तो 21 मिनट्स लगेंगे फॉर बोथ दी कार्स टू कंप्लीट द डिस्टेंस. तीन कार अगर होंगे तो 22 मिनट्स लगेंगे, 20 +1 +1. On the road from M to B, one car takes 20 minutes and each additional car increases the travel time per car by 0.9 minutes. तो 20 मिनट्स एक कार जाएगा तो दो जाएंगे तो 20.9, तीन जाएंगे तो 21.8, चार जाएंगे तो 22.7. Right, so that's basically what it will look like. The police department orders each car to take a particular route in such a manner that it is not possible for any car to reduce its travel time by not following the order. तो पुलिस ने पूरा ऑप्टिमाइज कर लिया है, and they will say that okay, you take this particular route and you travel via this route, and if the car violates the order and tries to, थोड़ा दिमाग लगाती है ना कार, तो कार को और लेट ही होगा. So car has to blindly trust what the police department is saying and has to follow their orders blindly, right? And that will of course be the most optimum solution, so to say. तो यहाँ पे if while the other cars are following the order, if some car breaks free and does something on its own, then it's not going to benefit at all. That is basically the point of this. So optimized solution चाहिए हमको. Now let's look at the first bit. तो यहाँ पे पहले तो हमको ये पता करना है कि भाई मतलब चल क्या रहा है. For the first two questions we have A, M, B and A, N, B. So A to M, N to B वाला एक पार्ट देख लेते हैं. तो A to M में ना one car takes 6 minutes. A to M, I just write A to M here. So you have A to M, you have M to B, you have A to N and you have N to B. ठीक है, तो ये चार पार्ट्स. A to M में क्या बोला गया है? One car takes 6 minutes and additional cars take 3 minutes each. So एक car will take 6, two cars will take 9, three cars will take 12, four cars will take 15. Same thing is for N to B as well. 6 plus 3 का ही form. What about M to B? या A to N, सॉरी, A to N के अंदर one car is 20 and additional is 1, so 20 plus 1 होगा. And M to B में one car takes 20 and additional car is 0.9. ये दिया हुआ है, right? Now let's say for example, let's look at this particular context. क्योंकि क्या बोला गया है, we have to split things, right? What is the first question? How many cars would be asked to take the A N B route by the police department? So first two questions में there are only two routes possible, A M B and A N B. So two routes are possible. So how many cars will be asked to take the A N B route? Now again you have to think that the police department is smart enough and they will allow both routes to be utilized properly. तो दो दो कार कर देंगे, mostly that will be your answer. Right? As I said, no, sometimes the most logical answer is the correct answer. Second, if all cars follow the police order, what is the difference in travel time between a car that takes the route A and B and a car that takes the route A and B? Now, this should again give you a clue. भाई कोई तो कार A and B से जाना चाहिए, because difference पूछा गया है ना, and difference कितना है? 1 minute, 0.1 minutes, 0.2 minutes, 0.9 minutes. Now the difference has been given to you as this. You should know that A and B से भी कोई कार जा रही है and A and B से भी कोई कार जा रही है. And you know that with each subsequent car the penalty is much higher. So you have to more or less understand that A and B से या तो एक कार जाएगी या तो दो कार से. That's it. ठीक है? So the answer to this one is either 1 or 2. So even if it's a theta question, if you have to just guess something, you can either mark 1 or 2 and your chances will be 50-50. ठीक है? And symmetry से दो दो होगा तो better है लाइफ में सबके लिए. That's why we can go ahead and do it. But let's not do that. Let's try to find it scientifically. तो लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल ए एम बी में से सिर्फ एक कार जाती, लेट्स से, देन व्हाट वुड हैव हैपेंड? ए टू एम 6 मिनट्स इट वुड हैव टेकन, नो एडिशनल कार, नो एडिशनल टाइम, सो 6 and 20, सो 26 हो जाता. सो वन कार अगर ए एम बी से जाए पूरा का पूरा, इट विल टेक 26 मिनट्स टू गेट टू ट्रैवल द एंटायर डिस्टेंस. What happens if there are two cars? Two cars means A to M में 3 minutes will increase and M to B में 0.9 minutes will increase because one extra car is there. So 3.9 minutes बढ़ जाएंगे. So instead of 26, you will have 29.9 minutes. If there are three cars going from A to M and M to B, you will again have 3.9 minutes added. So 29.9 and 4, so 33.9 minus 0.1, 33.8. ठीक है? And another 3.9 will be added अगर सारे के सारे all four cars are asked to go from A to M and then M to B. So 33.8 plus 4, 37.8 minus 0.1, 37.7. I hope my calculations are fine. ठीक है, तो ये हो जाएगा. सिमिलरली ए एन बी का कॉन्टेक्स्ट क्या है? ए टू एन एंड एन टू बी अगर एक ही कार जाता तो 20 plus 6, 26 में उसका काम निकल जाता. वन कार इंक्रीजेस, 4 से बढ़ जाता है, 1 for A N and 3 for N B. So this will become 30. another 4, 34, another 4, 38. Now you can see that if all four cars had to use only one route, अगर ये कंपल्शन होता, then you would have said that A and B यूज कर लो, खेल खत्म कर दो, because 37.7 में आप पहुंच जाओ. अगर चारों कार्स A and B से चले गए, then you would have taken 38 minutes to complete that entire journey, right? But we have better solutions available. What are the better solutions? Let's say, for example, there is one car, right, that has been asked to go from A to N and N to B, and three cars that have been asked to go from A to M and M to B. तो क्या होगा? These three cars will take 33.8 and this one car will take 26. अब इसके अंदर से कोई तो एक दिमाग लगाने वाला ड्राइवर होगा. Let's say you are the one and you are preparing for the car. That's why you have brilliant aptitude. What you will do is you will start calculating. You will say that if I not listen to this police department का order and I take the A and B route, A and B route पे two cars होंगे, but then both the cars will reach in 30. So instead of struggling here with 33.8 minutes का road, you will go and finish your journey in 30 minutes, na? So it makes sense for you to break the rule. So three cars on A and B will not make sense. Similarly, three cars on A and B will not make sense. क्योंकि अगर यहाँ पे 34 लग रहा है, you can simply not follow the order and you can go here and you can just finish off in 29.9 instead of spending 34 minutes. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे it will still create a conflict. What if two cars are supposed to go here and two cars are supposed to go here? More or less दोनों का equal amount ही है. अभी एक कार बोलता है कि नहीं मेरे को इधर से छोड़ के I will have to go somewhere else. Then what will happen? If this person decides to go here, 30 के जगह पे उसको 33.8 मिनट्स लग रहे हैं to reach. Similarly, 29.9 की जगह पे 34 मिनट्स लग रहे हैं to reach. So they will not want to break the rule here. So two cars on A and B and two cars on A and B is the optimum solution in this case. ठीक है? So you will have two cars A and B, two cars A and B, काम निकल जाएगा. अगर यहाँ पे भी 26 और 34 होता है, one here and three here, even then it makes sense for this person to break the rule and use this, na? As we saw earlier, right? So the only way that people will not be breaking rules is if both the routes have two cars each, which was the most logical solution. Aditya, in fact, I have done this exact video last week. So you can have a look at selection for DILR on the channel itself. In fact, if you go to one of the latest videos, if you just click on the videos on the channel and go to the latest videos, now you will see question selection strategies for verbal, quant and DILR. So तीनों section के लिए बनाए हुए हैं. So you can have a look at those videos. They are already in place. ठीक है? So two cars from A and B and two cars from A and B. So इसका answer becomes two. A and B, how many cars will go? Two cars will go. And this question, what is the difference in travel time it takes for a car to go from A and B compared to a car to go from A and B? तो यहाँ पे लग रहा है 29.9, यहाँ पे लग रहा है 30, तो the difference is 0.1. So two questions we have answered without putting in a lot of effort. बहुत ही simple एक basic table बना के two questions you have answered. We can close the session here basically and get done with it because the other two questions will require a lot of effort, right? But if you were in the test, you could have solved these two questions and could have been very happy with your attempt. And honestly, उस time पे, if I remember correctly, if you were attempting 16 questions, 4 sets, and you were getting 48 marks, that was an easy 99 percentile. Easy 99 percentile in this particular slot, from what I remember. So we saw 6 questions that we could do easily without even thinking about anything. Okay, so that is basically the beauty of the DILR part. The other two questions will pull you down, but the first two questions were manageable. ठीक है, अभी लास्ट टू क्वेश्चंस के लिए अगेन लेट्स ट्राई टू डू इट इन द सिमिलर वे दैट वी हैड डन इट अर्लियर. अगेन इंट्यूजन शुड वर्क रियली वेल हियर. ठीक है, so in this case we'll have a look at it. Aditya, any of the available offerings are fine. So the popular ones are of course InCAT, SimCATs, Career Launcher, Mocks. So you can sign up for any one of them, and all of them are, I think, equally good. People prefer SimCATs, I believe, a lot. Not a lot, but somewhat more than InCATs and CLMOX. So you can look at that. In fact, I have had some experience because I was with IMS earlier. So SimCATs are very well designed and they have good solutions, and there is this AI bit as well. So you can have a look at those. But InCATs are also fine and CLMOX are also fine. So that's basically what I have from my side. Um, yeah. Now the point is, but of course, one more thing to add, you should also analyze these mocks very well because if you don't analyze mocks and you simply keep on taking mocks, it's not going to be of a lot of help. We have already done a video on mock analysis, so you can have a look at that as well. I'll try to put it in the chat towards the end of the session, so you can have a look at. that video as well. Okay. Now, in terms of this one, there is another road that is built from M to N. So पहले जो हम लोग ऐसे जा रहे थे A to M and then to B, or A to N and then to B. Now there is a road between M and N as well. Now there are three routes. Now this road is from M to N. It is not a two-way street. So A to M, and yeah, this is basically the route design. So you will basically go from A to M and M to B. So A M B or A M N B or A N B. So three possible routes are there. Now on the road from M to N, one car takes 7 minutes, and each additional okay, and each additional car increases the travel time per car by 1 minute. So this is 7 plus 1. So whatever we had seen earlier, this is 7 plus 1 that we have. Okay, and assume that any car taking the AMNB route travels the AM portion at the same time as other cars taking the AMB route. So what does this mean? So AMNB route mein na, the car that goes from A to M travels at the same time when the other cars that are taking the AMB route. तो दो routes होंगे. So A to M, I'll just put it in another color. I'll use two colors. So I'll use this color. Which color should I use? This one I'll use. So one route is A to M and M to B. Okay. So this is one route that we. Another route that uses this AM wala road is this one. A to M, M to N, and N to B. ठीक है, तो ये दो रूट्स हैं. नाउ द क्वेश्चन सेज दैट व्हेन अ कार इज टेकिंग दिस रूट ए एम बी, it is traveling at AM at the same time as another car that is taking AMNB वाला route, which means that अगर AMB पे दो cars जा रहे हैं, let's say, and AMNB पे और दो cars जा रहे हैं, then AM will be traveled by four cars simultaneously, and that's why it will basically fall. Right? Aditya, to be very honest, I think last year every mock was designed on CAT 2022, if I remember correctly, and CAT 22 had very manageable quant. CAT 23 ka quant shot up again to a different level, and that's why people had trouble figuring out कि मतलब ये level mock में नहीं था करके. But the basics remain the same, to be very honest. This year, I'm pretty sure that all the paper setters are creating slightly difficult mocks, and if by chance CAT becomes easier this year, you will again feel that the mock ka quality or mock ka level of difficulty was not the same as that of the actual CAT. So CAT also plays around a bit with the level of difficulty. So wo hoga. But for all practical purposes, I don't think there is a lot to choose among the three, to be very honest. So you have to go for the one that one gives you the best deal in terms of money, and two, which gives you a lot of things in addition to the mock and everything. So video solutions are a hygiene factor, analysis is a hygiene factor, practice questions is a hygiene factor. तो वो सारी चीजें you can have. Okay, so that's basically the question here. Okay, now let's see what happens in this context. I'll just go back to this one. Yeah. Now, what are the questions? Let's look at the questions and then have a look at the graph, that the table that we have drawn. तो अभी यहाँ पे M to N जाने में 7 minutes it takes, and every additional car takes 1 extra minute. ठीक है, और every additional car increases the time taken to travel from M to N by 1 minute. Now, how many cars would the police department order to take the AMNB route? So that again, it's not possible. It's an optimum solution that exists. Okay. So AMNB में how many cars will the police department order? Now, because you have been given a theta question, you know that there is a unique answer to this question. The answer is unique. ऐसा नहीं है कि दो भी बोल सकते हैं, तीन भी बोल सकते हैं, एक भी बोल सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. The police department would have ordered 1, 2, 3, that's it. ठीक है, because the question is the police department would never order all the cars to take the same route, which basically means that all four cars cannot take the same route. Now route is different, road is different. ठीक है, route is ये AMB is a route, ANB is a route, AMNB is a route, road is AMMNNB. So ऐसा वो लोग नहीं बोल रहे हैं कि you cannot ask cars to go from AMB and AMNB, ऐसे नहीं बोल सकते, because then AM will have all four cars ना. So that is not what this is trying to say. Coincidentally, the answer comes out to be that, but that's not what is implied by the question. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या बोलता है, इफ ऑल द कार्स फॉलो द पुलिस ऑर्डर व्हाट इज द मिनिमम ट्रैवल टाइम. सो अगर मैं ये सॉल्व कर दूं, इफ आई सॉल्व द स्प्लिट, आई विल बी एबल टू गेट द मिनिमम टाइम एज वेल. नाउ व्हेन आई सॉल्व द स्प्लिट, आई हैव टू एंश्योर दैट ऑल द कार्स आर टेकिंग मोर और लेस द सेम अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम टू ट्रैवल फ्रॉम ए टू बी. नहीं तो मतलब कोई भी कार ब्रेक करके दूसरी तरफ चला जाएगा, the car might benefit, right? So that might be an issue. So let's try to see what happens. So in this particular context, we are saying that A to M जाने में what is the amount of time that normally is taken by cars? A to M was 6 plus 3 and N to B was also 6 plus 3. So A to M was 6 plus 3 and N to B was 6 plus 3. What about the other two? MB was 20 plus zero point 0.9 and 20 plus 1. MB was 20 plus zero point 0.9 and AN was 20 plus 1. I hope I'm right. AN was 20 plus 1. Yeah, AN was 20 plus 1. Perfect. And the last one, MN, is 7 plus 1. Now this will become slightly complicated, so pay attention to this one. If you're not able to get something, you can just rewind a bit and have a look at it again, or maybe have a look at the recording, because that might help. Right now, let's say for example, the police was not allowing all four vehicles to take one route, but let's say for example, तीन vehicles को बोला A M N B ले लो, and one vehicle को बोला which one was the better one? A M B better था कि A N B better था? A M B was the better one, slightly better A M B. ठीक है, तो एक vehicle को बोला भाई तुम A M B ले, fine. Now what will happen? Because three vehicles are taking A, M, and B, and one vehicle is taking A, M, B. A, M will be traveled by all four vehicles. तो ये रूट के अंदर आई विल हैव टू फिल दिस ब्लॉक A to M, देन M to N, एंड देन N to B. ये तीनों मेरे को फिल करने पड़ेंगे. A to M, हाउ मेनी कार्स आर ट्रेवलिंग? यहाँ पे A to M भी है और M to B भी है, तो यहाँ पे 1 plus 3 4 कार्स आर ट्रेवलिंग. तो कितना लगेगा? 3 plus 3 plus 3, so 9 additional minutes. 6 plus 9 हो जाएगा 15. So A to M जाने में 15 minutes लग जाएंगे for all these vehicles that are there. M to N, there are only 3 vehicles here. ये वाला तो MN से नहीं जा रहा. So 7 plus 1 8 plus 1 9. So 9 minutes is what it's going to take, because यहाँ पे 3 vehicles जा रहे हैं and यहाँ पे भी 3 ही vehicles जा रहे हैं. There is no interference from any other thing. So 6 plus 3 plus 3, which will be 12. Total कितना हो गया? 24 plus 12, that is 36. Similarly A M B में क्या हो जाएगा? MB के अंदर there is only one vehicle ना, that is going. So 20 में निकल जाएंगे, तो 35 में they will reach. Now 35 and 36. That is the scenario. Now think about it. Let's say you are in this particular route. यहाँ पे तो कोई कुछ कर नहीं सकता ना. A and B से you are going. You can either go to A and B and see if it makes your life better, right? तो अगर ये बोलता है कि भाई मैं पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट की बात ही नहीं सुनूंगा, मेरे को A and B से जाना है, then what will happen in that case? In that particular case, A N से travel करेंगे, तो this person will take 20 minutes, and NB से now 4 vehicles would have traveled, because ये तो NB से जा ही रहा है. So 12 plus 3 meaning 15, right? So it will take 15, तो 35 ही लगेगा, तो उसके लाइफ में कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, right? So ये वाले से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. A M B ले लो या A N B ले लो, it does not make a difference. But if one of these three people decides to go from A and B, then what is going to happen? A M N B पे 2 vehicles होंगे, right? So instead of 3, we'll have 2 vehicles here, and A N B में there will be 1 vehicle that will be there. Now in that case, what will happen? We just have to see if it is a better deal than 36 or not. यही मेरे को देखना है. Now if one vehicle goes from A and B, A N पे से जाएगा, A N पे nobody is going, तो ये 20 में पहुंच रहा है, right? Now this person goes from N B, अगर यहाँ से यहाँ पे जाता है. Now again there are only 3 vehicles that are going ना, या तो ये वाला पकड़ो या ये वाला पकड़ो. It is still going to take 12 minutes. So 32 minutes में उसका काम निकल जा रहा है. So someone who was earlier using that AMNB route, when there were 3 vehicles traveling around along the AMNB route, अगर एक कोई इंसान बोलता है कि भाई मेरे को तो ये नहीं सुनना है, मेरे को अपना काम करना है, and takes the ANB route, then what will happen? This person will be reaching in 32 minutes ना. तो पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट के ऑर्डर को नेगेट किया जा सकता है या नेग्लेक्ट किया जा सकता है, which basically means that 3 cars going along AMNB is not an optimum solution. So let's look at 2 cars going along AMNB, and यहाँ पे चॉइस ही नहीं देंगे. एक कार को भेजेंगे AMB में, एक कार को भेजेंगे ANB में, and then let's see what happens. So I'll just erase these parts that I have written here and we'll do it again. So now we have 2-1-1 का scenario. 3 AMNB पे नहीं चलेगा, ठीक है? And we are expecting exactly one answer. Why? Because यहाँ पे अपने को बोला गया है that you will have, yeah, यहाँ पे अपने को बोला गया है कि we have a theta question which will have only one solution. So in this case, AM and B पे there are 2 vehicles. So AM पे 2 vehicles will go, N पे 2 vehicles will go, and NB पे 2 vehicles will go. AMB में AM पे 1 vehicle will go, 1 car will go, and MB पे 1 car will go. AN पे 1 car will go, and NB पे 1 car will go. What does this mean? AM route पे there are three vehicles that are traveling in total. AN पे only one vehicle is traveling. MN पे there are two vehicles that are traveling. MB पे there is only one vehicle that is traveling, and here there are three vehicles that are traveling. So how much time will it take to go from A to M? Three extra vehicles, na? Or two extra vehicles. So 6 plus 3 plus 3. So 12 minutes it will take. 12 minutes it will take. यहाँ पे एक ही vehicle है तो 20. यहाँ पे दो vehicles हैं तो 7 plus 1 plus 7 plus 1 right? So 8 हो जाएगा. अगर एक ही व्हीकल है 20 अगेन. अगर यहाँ पे तीन व्हीकल्स हैं तो 6 प्लस 3 प्लस 3 अगेन यू विल हैव 12 हियर. अगेन यू विल हैव 12. 12 plus 20 will be 32. 20 plus 12 will be 32. 12 plus 8, 20 plus 12, 32. Now we have nicely optimized this solution. So because of this split, each and every route is allowing us to travel in 32 minutes. That is basically the scene, right? Now you can also try this one bit, and that is something that you can do on your own as well and check. AMNB पे मेरे को एक ही कार चलाना है, let's say, and I drive two cars along A and B and one car along A and B, and then see what happens. What exactly is the split that you are going? You will still get some scenario जहाँ पे it might make more sense for you to jump from A and B to AM and B. क्योंकि ये वाला 32 के ऊपर चला जाएगा. So the whole idea is for you to beat 32. That is the whole point. ठीक है? So वो करके you will be able to get it. In fact, you can do it and see what happens. A to N में there will be sorry N to B में there will be three vehicles. So 6 plus 3 plus 3 तो 12 minutes यहाँ पे हो जाएंगे. A to N में there will be only one vehicle. So 20 तो 32 हो जाएगा. Sorry two vehicles यहाँ पे. So 20 plus 1 21 हो जाएगा. So anyway you are going to take 33 minutes to travel from A to N to B. तो 32 तो यहाँ पे better option था ही ना आपके पास, right? And that's why you will always go towards this possibility जहाँ पे two vehicles along A, M and B will give you 32 minutes का entire duration. ठीक है? So this is the optimum solution that we have. I'll just erase the irrelevant part. ये वाला part is not relevant. 112 is the optimum solution that we have, and which allows all the cars to travel in a time span of 32 minutes. So again, you can play around with more possibilities and see what happens. And see why 32, 32, 32 is the most optimum solution. ठीक है? Because whatever happens, you'll always migrate towards this bit. So अगर मैं तीन vehicles को A and B पे डाल देता हूँ ना, और एक को A and B पे डालता हूँ ना, it will make a lot of sense for one vehicle to go to A and B, because then everybody will be at 32, 32, 32. If there were three vehicles at A and B, like we had seen earlier, and one vehicle at A and B, it would make more sense for that one vehicle to go from A and B to A and B, because that would make everything 32, 32, 32. Okay? And that is basically the beauty of the solution, that there is only one possibility जहाँ पे everything will be equal, and this will basically be poetic. Again, as I mentioned, A and B के आने से you will reduce the load from A and B and A and B. कैसे करेंगे? एक यहाँ से निकालेंगे, एक यहाँ से निकालेंगे, because everything is so symmetrical in this set. It takes a lot of guts to say that one to one answer होना चाहिए करके, right? But if it is logical and obvious, maybe you can go for it. But I would not suggest you to guess answers. But in case you are एकदम ऐसे डेयर डेविलरी वाला इंसान, 7 सेट्स कर लिए हैं, 8 सेट है, you are gunning for that 100 percentile, I think you can go ahead with symmetry. That is something that I have learned from the cat toppers as well. And they generally will go for these kind of instinctive answers. ठीक है? So the answer to this question is, how many cars would the police department order to take the AMNB route? The answer will be 2. So 2 cars will be taking the AMNB route. One car will be AMB, one car will be ANB. And for this question, if all the cars follow the police order, minimum travel time कितना होगा? We saw 32 होगा for each of the 3 routes that are there. So the correct answer here is option B, that is 30. Alright, so that was the last question of the daily drill today. If there's something that you have not understood, something that you have a doubt with, let me know. Or you can put it in the comments later when the recording is up. I think it should be up soon. So if you have any doubt, anything that you want me to discuss again, let me know in the comment section. I will try to do that. I'll try to answer that particular query. But nice, interesting sets is what we had. Okay, so I'll just wait for some 30 seconds and I'll then maybe close the session. All right. So we have, for all those of you who have recently joined us, this is the third week of daily drill that we have completed. And again, I hope you have seen an improvement over the past 3 weeks now. If you haven't gone through the previous daily drills, do go through those daily drills. If you haven't taken the tests, do take the tests before you go ahead and check out the video solutions. because once you take the test, all the video solutions are also embedded in the solution to that particular test. So वहां से भी you can get the link directly. You can have a look at the solutions from there as well. We might not get a like because it will be difficult for you to go to the YouTube channel and then give us a like. But okay, fair enough, that's fine. But otherwise, for all practical purposes, do both the things simultaneously. I think you should benefit from that. Next week, we have an interesting week coming up. We have two number theory sessions. So we have not done any number theory till now. So day 16 and day 17 will both be number theory, and followed by day 18 logical reasoning, day 19 reading comprehension, and day 20 of geometry. Okay, so that's basically going to be the agenda for next week. All right. So I'm assuming there are no doubts here. Do go through all the videos that are there, and do turn up for the session on Sunday. I will be taking you through the basics and the concepts of modulus and graphs. So as I mentioned earlier as well, we'll be covering the concepts of graphs first. So what does it mean when I say y equal to x, y equal to x plus 3, y equal to x minus 3? How does the graph move? That is what we are trying to look at first. Then we will try to look at what happens when I say mod of x plus 3. So y equal to mod of x. Chalo. What happens? How does the reflection happen? Y equal to mod of x plus 2. How does the reflection happen? Y equal to mod of x plus 2. How does the reflection happen? Right? That we will see. And then we will move on to quadratic. So there are two things. Ax square plus bx plus c को plot करेंगे तो what will the graph look like? That is what we are going to see. And we will end up with a very interesting concept on polynomials and roots. So those three things I plan to cover on Sunday. 11 o'clock we are going to start. It will go until I think 12:30 ish. That's what I have planned for. 1.5 hour of content is what I have. So do turn up for that session, and yeah, we'll have a lot of fun on Sunday. All right. So have a great Saturday ahead of you. Have enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you again on Sunday.